Hi, I'm Larry Stewart, editor with ForConstructionPros.com. I'm here at World of Concrete 2011 in Las Vegas. I'm at the Bobcat booth with Tom Connor, product specialist for excavators for Bobcat. We're standing in front of the E55. It's an addition to the excavator line, the Bobcat's new excavator line, and we've been talking about the difference between zero-turn radius machines and conventional house machines. And the E55 is a conventional house machine. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, first of all, its similarities to the E50 and some of its differences?
Okay, Larry, thanks. Well, really, the E55 is an expansion built upon an E50. If we look at the heart of the machine and start at the undercarriage will be common between an E50 and an E45. We move into the upper structure. Really, we're talking about the same components as far as engine, pump, valving, that type of thing. The same operator pod, if you will, as far as what the operator would experience sitting and running the machine.
Yeah.
So, where we really start to see the big difference between an E50 and an E55 is really two things. One is we slide the upper structure back, in simple terms, on the undercarriage, so that the rotation point, in essence, is moved forward on the cab structure. That pushes the tail of the machine rearward on the machine.
Okay.
And so, where an E50 would slew around in a circle and be near zero tail swing, the tail of the E55 is now going to protrude by the distance that we slid that upper structure rearward. So we're going to end up with roughly 13 and a half inches of tail overhang on the machine.
Okay.
Thus resulting in a conventional tail swing.
Right. And so what advantages does that give you?
The real advantage of pushing that tail out and ultimately becoming conventional tail swing enhances the performance of the machine over the side. And when I say performance, I'm talking about the lifting capabilities, whether you're lifting items, placing boulders, that type of thing, or if you're carrying the heavier attachments like the bigger breakers, the bigger grading buckets, the larger material, larger capacity trenching buckets. It gives you that much better performance over the side. And in the case of the 50 versus the 55, you might be talking 25 to 30% improvement in that overside lifting capacity as you reach those outer radiuses.
Okay.
So that's really where, if you were going to try to differentiate between what will this E50 do versus this new E55, really that's the heart of what we're talking about.
Yeah. And there's a weight increase too, right?
And the machine will grow in weight by about 700 to 800 pounds. The majority of that is you're gaining additional counterweight and additional radius if you compare the rear of the E50 and the E55, so part of that tail swing, the resulting tail swing, is additional counterweight. Part of it is because of moving the upper structure rearward.
Right. Okay. And there are also some specification differences in the standard machine between the 50 and the 55 too, right?
The E50 will have E55 will have a different unique arm to itself than you would see on an E50. So it will give you another 16 inches of arm length on the machine.
Okay.
Now that translates into more dig depth, more dump height, and then of course you're going to gain more reach out of the machine too.
Sure. And then I would assume that's pretty universal among the variations that Bobcat brings to the market with either zero tail swing or conventional tail swing machines. And because, as you were saying, there's a conventional tail swing machine sort of paired with each of the zero tail swing
if you look
machines.
at our machine lineup, what we're trying to do is provide a lineup that suits the different customer desire.
Right.
We start out in the lower end of the E vintage excavators, and we begin with a conventional tail swing E32. We move to a zero tail swing E35, conventional E42, zero E45, and then a minimal tail swing E50, and then we get to the conventional tail swing E55.
I see.
So it just gives variety. It gives the customer choice. Not everybody needs or has to have zero tail swing.
Right.
Their priority perhaps is lifting over the side of the machine more so than that comfort level of nothing sticking out beyond the tail of the machine.
I see. Okay. And other characteristics of the kind of work they do that's common?
Well, it usually boils down to, are they lifting objects? Are they lifting heavy objects frequently? Picking and placing type applications, the septic tank placing, jersey barriers, that type of thing, where they're moving heavy objects, say from in front of the machine to behind the machine, around the machine, where they're just looking for that extra comfort level as they slew around the side of the machine when they're lifting.
I see. Well, Tom, I really appreciate your time. It's interesting talk.
Thank you, Larry.
All right.